Hello, everybody. It's Elaine here, the Animal Reiki Lady. It is so good to see you guys here. Thanks for joining me. Today's topic is going to be about reincarnation and answering a couple very specific questions that came up about the reincarnation of our animal companions. So I look forward to answering those for you with an interesting analogy, I think, that will really help us all to understand reincarnation. But first, let me introduce myself just in case I'm meeting you for the very first time. My name is Elaine. I'm an Animal Reiki Master and an Animal Chaplain. And this channel, SoulPet, is dedicated to helping people, supporting people who have lost an animal companion whose pets have crossed to the other side. And we have a wonderful community here, so feel free to join us on Monday evenings when we do a live stream every Monday. And every once in a while, I like to answer these questions on a video that everyone can watch who may not be watching the live stream. Okay, so let's get started. What is reincarnation? And the question was, how does it work? How does reincarnation work? How do we know if our animal companions have come back to us? Isn't it true that nobody remembers in a reincarnation who they are? So how does our animal companion know to make its way back to us? And these are all really, really interesting questions. I can share with you my understanding of it, my understanding of how it works. And the first thing is there's no rules. So we think that we've heard from different people, different things, different stories, different ways, different movies, different books, all kinds of things that try to tell us how this works. But until you actually cross to the other side, we don't really know. So this is my understanding of it that I'm going to share with you, and I think it makes for a really good analogy. I'm going to start with the story of a chair. And I just think that it really matches. And then we'll talk a little bit about Gypsy, the dog who is currently sharing my life. So the story of a chair. This goes back to my husband's chair. A little dog hair there. It's having dogs in your life, having animals in our life. The story of a chair. My husband and I have been married for 40 years now, and this chair came into our life when we were first married, and it has stayed with us this whole time. Not the same chair. So it started out as a chair from IKEA, a chair from IKEA that was a very modern looking chair. And this was back in the mid 1980s. This modern looking chair from IKEA. It was gray, it had a footstool. My husband loved that chair. He sat in that chair until it started to fall apart. He would not let me get rid of that chair. It was literally collapsing, falling apart. The cloth was torn. It was no longer usable, but he loved that chair and he sat in it every single night, propped his feet up on the little stool that came with it, and that was his favorite chair. When it came time to move, we had to make a decision to to get rid of the chair. And so we got rid of that chair. He was very upset about it, did not want to get rid of the chair, but the chair had to go. So we ended up with another chair, but we kind of upgraded. And this chair was a burgundy recliner. Really nice, comfy. If you think about the 90s then, how everything was overstuffed, that kind of chair, burgundy chair, reclined. He absolutely loved it. Had a little cup holder. He thought that chair was the bomb. And he sat in that chair all the time until the chair became the chair. It was, it became dirty and torn, and you couldn't sit in the cushions comfortably anymore, but my husband could because it was conformed to his body, and he loved that chair. There was no getting rid of that chair, but at some point the chair had to go. He couldn't, I mean, you couldn't even look at it anymore. It was just not a nice chair. And time came for us to move, and so that chair had to go. And he was very upset that we were getting rid of that chair. Move into the new place, and a new chair comes into our life. This one is upgraded again, so it's like a movie style chair. And it was like this oh, I can't, it's a really soft leather. Now, I no longer do the leather thing, but at the time, it was a really soft leather and it was movie theater style. So it was cup holders on both sides and you could extend it in certain ways and you could go all the way back or you could just sit a little bit back. And he loved that chair, fell in love with that chair, sat in that chair every single night, enjoying that chair, loving the comfort of it until it became that chair, and it was dirty and it was tearing and it was, I mean, it became awful. That chair was so bad. It had to go because he lived in it. He just lived in that chair, enjoying, loving every beautiful moment of that chair. But the time came when that chair too had to go. He was he was livid that it was time to get rid of that chair. But we were moving across the country. We were not going to bring that chair with us, and so we did not bring the chair with us. Here we go into a new home, and we get an oversized chair. So upgrade once more. This is a huge, oh, it's a big oversized chair, very contemporary. Like it was this time it was pleather on the bottom and a micro suede on the top, and it fit him because he's a big guy. He sat in that chair and it like just swallowed him up, and he fell in love with that chair. And that chair also had a footstool that he absolutely loved because the dog could sit on the footstool right next to him while he propped his feet up. It was that big, and he sat in his beautiful oversized chair, and he loved this big brown chair. And this big brown chair was with us for a number of years until it became that chair. And you can talk to my kids because we called it that chair. He seemed to turn these chairs into that chair. And it became this thing, this thing that I can't even describe. And it became dirty. But there was no washing it. I mean, we couldn't touch the chair. It was his chair and it brought him joy, so he had his chair. And we joked about the chair, but he would sit there with a dog at his feet propped up on the stool, himself all comfy in this oversized chair, and he was in love with that chair. The time came, the chair had to go. It was beyond hope. The chair had to go, and we were moving once again. Yeah, we're nomads. We moved once again, and this time he has adopted a chair. This chair was not bought, it was adopted, and it was discarded from another family member. And it's really more of a love seat than a chair. And now he can spread out on this love seat with the dog right next to him, and the two of them sit there every single night enjoying dinner together, watching TV together, napping together. They love the chair. It has become the chair. So think about this. All this is an analogy, but it's so true when I realized it this week that we now have the chair back in our life again. It is that chair. So I don't know what that chair is going to look like 5 years from now, 3 years from now, no idea, but it has become the chair. So does the chair remember what it was? No, each version of that chair does not know what the version of the chair it was before, but it's still the chair. It's his chair, and it has become that. So it does not remember who it was. No. Does it look like the same chair? Nope, does not look like the same chair at all. But is it the same chair? Yes, it is. And I think that is the way that reincarnation may work. I think that we don't have to dwell on it, that we don't have to wonder where our animal companions are going to come from. We don't have to wonder if they're going to remember us or know how to find us or how to get their way back to us. I think it's going to happen naturally. And if you just let it happen, it will happen. You can bring another animal into your life and understand that this beautiful animal will become a reflection of your energy, a reflection of who you are, a reflection of your love, and a reflection of every single animal who's ever shared your life before. And that brings me to Gypsy, because Gypsy, after Jack and Lucy, for those of you who don't know, most of you do, Jack, Lucy, and Winston were my three senior dogs. We had three seniors. Two of them, Jack and Lucy, had been together since they were puppies. Winston came in much later, but all three of them together shared a home for a long time with us. And then when it came their time to cross, as we knew logically would happen, as they became senior dogs together, it was over an 18-month period, Lucy and Winston within 1 week of each other, 18 months later for beautiful Jack. Um, then Gypsy came into our life. And Gypsy, interestingly, it's so fascinating to watch, has become all three of them. I don't know how else to describe it, but you may have an example of an animal companion in your life. Gypsy has behaviors that I look into her eyes and I see Lucy every single time. Every single time there's certain behaviors that Lucy did that Gypsy did not do when she first came into our home that she does now, that I know she is a reincarnation of Lucy. At the same time that she's a reincarnation of Jack, she has taken on certain mannerisms that Jack had that were so unique to Jack that now Gypsy does. So that it's so apparent that we call her Jack when she does it. We'll say, Lucy, Lucy, what are you doing? Jack. Oh my gosh, Jack. And it's for Jack, it's a certain stretch. And then for Winston, just Winston's cuddly snuggliness. When Gypsy first came into our home, she was not a snuggler. She was not a huggy little girl, and now she loves to be curled up with us. So I see Winston in her also. One beautiful dog has become a reincarnation of all three dogs that shared our home for 13 years. And that's how I think reincarnation works. And I will dwell more on this and I will think more about it. But when we don't have to overthink it, when we just let it happen, it will naturally occur. Our beautiful animal companions will come back to us in the most natural of ways. We don't have to try, we don't have to ask, we don't have to question if we just let it flow naturally. And you will find that your beautiful animal companion, cat, dog, whatever it may be, horse, bearded dragon, may naturally flow back into your life and match your love and match your soul and be for you whatever you need them to be. And that's how I believe it works. Okay, my friends, continue to ask the questions. I love the questions. Put your comments in. Anything that you want to talk about, nothing's off limits here. Whatever you want to discover more about your animal companion on the other side of life. And know that you have a beautiful community of people here to support you. And until our next meeting, may animals light your way. Take care, my friends.